Hello, this is a short video that would walk you through a couple of steps in project number 4. So project number 4 is on pages 77 to 78 in your workbook, and we're going to need a different file now. We're going to need the file called body temperatures and heart rate. In this project, you want to compare the body temperatures for men and women, and maybe make reference to the idea that the normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we want to do is we want to download this. We want to create a histogram for men and women, and then we want to find the mean and standard deviation for men and women. So let's get to the data set. You can click on the Google Sheets dataset, and that should open up a Google Sheets file for you. You want to make sure that you're logged into your account. And you also want a couple more things to do. You want to make a copy of this Google Sheets, and it would be nice if you could make a copy on a folder that would say something like Project4. So I'm going to create a folder called Project4. And I will select this to put this copy of the body temperature. So I'll save that. Now I have a copy of the body temperature that I can edit. Now, even though this is a copy, I also want to duplicate the worksheet and call this Project4 in case I make a mistake. I can still have my original sheet. So I have Project4 highlighted here, and I'm ready to make the histogram and find the mean and standard deviations. Now I want to make the histogram according to gender, and fortunately the gender is already sorted. The data is already sorted by gender. So we have the males first and then the females second. And then I just kind of want to browse through the temperature to see what the largest and smallest values are. For men it goes all the way up to 99.5. Starting for women it's 96.4 to about 100.8. So it looks like the smallest value is 96.4, 96.3. So that's going to be good information for me to set up my histogram. So I'm going to first work with the males. I will highlight all the temperatures for the males. So I'm just going to click here, and then I'm going to scroll down and click on the last male temperature. Then I will hit Insert, Chart. Now this chart is clearly not the chart that I want, so I want to select the chart type to be a histogram. So this is a histogram of temperature. So I want to customize this. Let's customize it using the chart style. Well, the chart style is going to be okay. The histogram, I want to have nice bins, so I'm going to set my bin to be a bin size of 1. I can actually set it to be a bin size of 1/2. That might work out a little bit nicer. It shows a little bit more bars, but it's up to you how you want to set it up. So I'm going to choose a bin size of 1/2, as long as you're consistent with the female temperatures as well. I'm going to title this axis. So the chart title, the big chart title, is the temperature for males. And then I'll scroll down some more, and I want to go to horizontal axis. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the chart titles again, and I want to label the horizontal axis title to be temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit. Too bad I don't have a spell check here. It looks like it might be correct. So I have my units labeled. Now let's go to the horizontal axis. The minimum value, remember that the minimum value is about 96.3, 96.4. So we can start at 96. And then we can have the maximum value. I think the highest temperature for the females was a little bit over 100. So let's go 101 here. And the male's largest is 99.5, but the females, if I remember correctly, was 90. It was 100 point something. So I want to make room for that for the female, for comparison's sake. Okay. I think the vertical axis is fine, the grid lines are fine, and maybe if you just want to get rid of the legend, you can go to legend and say none, and that would take up the whole space for the histogram. Okay, so that looks good. I can make this just a little bit smaller and set it off aside here, and then do the same thing for females. So let's highlight the females, starting from the first one at 96.4 and scroll down to the last one at 100.8, and we'll do the same process. We'll go to chart, we'll select the histogram, we'll customize it, starting with the histogram with a bin size of 0.5. You can use 1 if you want, as long as you're consistent between this and the males. Let's go to chart title, temperature. This is the horizontal axis title, so I might as well work on that. Temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. And then I want to change my big chart title to be the temperature for females. Scroll down to the horizontal axis. Let's put a minimum value of 96 and a maximum value of 101. And the key is to have this the same as the male maximum value. And then I think we took out the legend, so that is none, and I don't see the legend up here, so that's good. Alright, so I think we're done, and I can move this chart next to the male chart. You don't have to, but just for comparison's sake, we can do the comparison here in Excel or in Google Sheets. So let's just see to make sure that everything is the same. We got the temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit from 96 to 101. The temperature for males, temperature for females. So okay, that looks good. The next we want to create a table of values for the mean and standard deviation. So I'll get the table set up here. I'll type the male and female categories, and then I'll have the mean, the standard deviation, and we should also include the n size. So let me switch this over and move this over a little bit, and then this is the sample size, n. Okay. So now I want to count the number of males that I've collected here. So I'm going to say equals and then count, and then I'm just going to count the males. So I'm going to click and highlight and press close parentheses and enter. So it looks like there were 65 males. Let's count the females, equals, and then count open parentheses, and I'm going to start with the female temperatures here, and I'm going to click and drag. You can also do a shift click if you want, and then enter, and there are 65 females as well. Let's find the mean for the males. Remember, the mean is average. I'm going to go to the first male temperature, or the last male temperature, and I'm going to scroll up, shift click, and then close the parentheses, close the parentheses and enter. So the mean for the males is 98.1. Let's find the mean for the females. Average. Click on the first female, scroll down, and shift click, close the parentheses and press enter, and you get 98.4. So that doesn't seem too significant in the difference between them. Let's take a look at the standard deviation, and the command for standard deviation is stdev. Now there's several versions of this. We're just going to stick with the stdev. Close parentheses, open parentheses. This is for the male, so I'm going to start with the last male, scroll up to the first male, and then hit enter. And then my standard deviation for the females, stdev. I'll start with the first female and scroll down to the last female, and then enter. So here's my table that is of interest to me, and this would be good because now this table can go directly into my Project4 document. So I'm going to go back to my Google Drive, into my Project4 folder, and I'm going to set up my Google Doc where I'm going to actually write my paper. So let's call this Project4. And then I'm going to set up my headers with the appropriate headers with my name, the subject, the professor, and the title of this is Project4. And I want to start off with my research question. So let's go take a look at the research question again. Should there be a different normal body temperature benchmark for men and women? Whoops, that didn't work out. Let's try a different paste. Paste without formatting. That didn't work out either. So let's just type it out. Should there be different normal temperature benchmark? Should for men and women, male and females, for men and women. Okay, now let's insert our graphs in our table. So let's insert the graph first. Let's go to Insert, Chart, and it's Chart from Sheets. And I had just been working on the copy of the body temperature, so let's click on that. Double click on that, and here are the two sheets that I have. So if you shift click on both of them, you can import both of them at the same time. Clearly this is way too big, so I'm gonna take them and shrink it a little bit. And an ideal situation would be to shrink this enough so that they can go side by side. Actually, might be better if they're on top of each other, but just for the sake of saving room, we can go side by side. And you can try to eyeball it so that they're about the same size. Now the other thing we can do is I did a couple of returns here, so I have some space. I'm going to go back to a little bit higher, and we're going to insert a table. Well, we're going to insert that table that we created from the body temperature, and instead of just inserting a table and retyping all that information, what you can do is you can go back to the body temperature sheet, highlight our table or a piece of the table that we want, and go back and copy. So let's go to edit and copy, and you may need to do Control C. I'm going to hit Control C to copy, and then go over here and hit Control V to paste. Now when you paste it, they want to know if you want to link it to the spreadsheet, or you can paste it unlinked and then you can edit it. So let's try leaving it as is, linked to the spreadsheet, and hit paste. And so this is your information. You might want to just center this. I think you can hit center if you highlight everything. No, it's not centering. Well, you can spread this out a little bit so that it looks like it has a little bit more room, and you can move everything over just a tad so that it doesn't look like it's too crammed up on the side over there. And then if you make any changes in your Google Sheets, the changes will apply in your document also. That's a nice thing about being linked. So let's say if I want to take these two numbers and I want to round this off to maybe 2 decimal places, I can go to Format and Number, and then I can ask it to round off to 2 decimal places, and so now I have this rounded off to 2 decimal places. And it didn't quite happen here. I thought it was going to happen. Oh, update. There you go. So now it's rounded off to 2 decimal places. Let's go back and center these, and let's put a box around this whole thing. So let's see if we can highlight everything. Shift click and then box, so that it's you can see the boxes when you print it out. Hopefully that worked. I'm not sure if I can see the boxes clearly. We can border color it and make sure that it's clear. Let's try that again. Border color and dark. There he goes. So instead of a gray, dark boundary, you can have it darker so that you can see it. Alright, so now you have your information ready. I'm going to get this set up. So now you can type your actual essay underneath the histogram and the information that you got here. And so your question, remember, is should there be a difference in the benchmark for men and women? And since they did mention 96.8 degrees as the usual medical normal body temperature, we might want to make reference to that as well. And you want to compare that to the mean that you got and the standard deviation to see how far off it is. And you also want to include information about, and if you look in the rubric, the idea of a typical measurement being a mean plus or minus a standard deviation. And you want to see how much overlap there is when you do that. Okay. So this is your project, and this is all the information that you need. Hopefully this will give you enough information to get started with at least the first couple steps, and then you're going to do your thesis and observations about the shape, center, and spread, and all that other stuff. Okay, good luck.